Excellent. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have a magnificent guest with us today, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than the legendary icon himself, Mr. Gene Kilroy. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Looking salam, brother. I'll praise it
Yes,
do
sir.
while we're here, and that's what it's about.
Absolutely. All praise to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, the first thing that we, on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we just want to thank you for always being kind to us. Everybody go check out part one interview that we did. The last time I spoke with you, it was Savior's Day 2023, and it was with our brother Joshua Farrakhan, and you all were speaking in your room and hugging and showing nothing but love. How did you get very close relationship with him, sir?
Well, when he was just a little kid, he must have been about 12 years old. He came up to the training camp, and he was a likable kid. You know, there's only so many people in life that you give them the key to your heart. It's a good, he was such a nice guy, and he said to me, he said, Gene Kilroy, I said, yeah. He said, you know how lucky you are? I said, yeah. He said, you could stay here. I have to go home. And he was so awe of Ali. He was Muhammad would call me later in life when he would go visit him in Bering Springs. He said, Gene, Josh was here today. What a great guy he is. And he had so much respect for Ali, and Ali had so much respect for him. But he was a unique individual. When he passed away, it broke my heart. I'm not a nutcase. And I would go to the phone, just call his number. And I know he's in paradise, and, but it's just that not only was I close with him, but his whole family, and, we all have our own demons, and he was so bright. I would tell him, if you were a white man, you could be running a blue chip company. Minister Farrakhan told me when he's on his post, he said he has 5 phones going. He has his finger on all buttons. I remember when I was in the hospital, I flew out, I had colon cancer, and I'm laying in bed. The doctor comes in, and the doctor told me, he said, you got 3 months to live. It's bad shape. I said, wow. So 10 minutes later, Joshua calls me. How you doing? I said, well, I got a little bad news. Well, he said, well, what's going on? And I told him. And he said, Allah's going to look after you. So 10 minutes later, the phone rang, and it was Minister Farrakhan. And because of Joshua, and Minister Farrakhan said those words to me, Gene, the angel of death isn't going to come for you. Allah has so much for you to do here on planet Earth. And to me, that was like the victory song. Like I wanted to get up, and I knew I'm going to fight it, and I'm not going to lay down. And then we said, Salaam alaikum, brother, and then thank you. He said, you're in my prayers. And then 10 minutes later, Jim Brown calls. And Jim Brown said, brother, I know you're going through some little problems right now, but you got my phone number 24/7. You ever want to talk, just give me a call. I'm here with you. And then he said, you're such a unique guy. You were accepted by the Nation of Islam being a white man in the early days. And then I revert back to my meeting with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he told me there's a greater power has you here than Muhammad Ali and myself. Allah has you here. So when you hear those words, you think, God, I am chosen. And then he told me about, I don't look at you as a devil. I look at the devil, the white man that castrated the black man, that hung the black man, that raped the black man's wife, raped the black man's daughter, deprived the black man in education. You must be a devil. We're blessed to have you, And I thought he was such a great man. And, he had so much respect for me. And even to this day, I brag about my conversation with him. And, he was a unique individual. And the Honorable Louis Farrakhan keeps his name alive. There's an old Chinese proverb said, we're never dead as long as our name is remembered. And
Yes, sir.
guys like, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would always be remembered. Minister Farrakhan, Ali, Joshua in his own little way. He was a special guy. He was he was close to me as my own brothers. He came out and spend some time with him. And, I would try to save him. And, and I remember Minister Farrakhan talking about drugs and one of my own sons right now. But he was always honest. And Ishmael did such a great job when he spoke at his death. It was really impressive, And I love Joshua and I miss him today. I miss him immensely, He would just call, check in and see how you're doing. And, he was a good person from his heart,
Yes,
a
sir.
great guy and had his finger on the pulse. And I used to get so mad at him, I want to hit him on his head. I said, if you fail, your father fails. You're not doing this to yourself. People laugh at your father because of your failure. And then I remember one Savior's Day, I said to his mother, is Joshua? She said, Willie was invited, Gina. I hope he shows. And it broke her heart even to say that, And, drugs is terrible, terrible. And it's not only the poor, it hits everybody, all the families is involved in it. Thank God. My father was an alcoholic. He died at 32. I was 6 years old. I never drank, did drugs, smoked a cigarette because of that. Because if I'd have started on drugs or drinking, I would have went the whole gamut. I go till you can't go. But
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I am the blessed man. I am the blessed man being associated with those people. I'm so respect the Savior's Day. Go there, sit on the stage of Minister Farrakhan. And, I know I'm in his heart. He's in my heart, his whole family. And I'm honored to be accepted by that family. They are the royal family. They've done so much for Black people. I remember telling a Black director in Hollywood, I said, you should thank the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because in those days, the Blacks were just drug dealers, pimps, killers. And then when he took over, he straightened all that out. Then they all started to get executive roles, not bad roles, but meaty roles, something nice, Sidney Poitier, all those people, the Black, even to this day, and I never let anybody better say nothing bad about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad around me or Minister Farrakhan. I love those people. They've been so good to me. On my deathbed, I'll be saying thank you,
Beautiful. Yes, sir, Mr. Kilroy. And people are showing you love all around the world. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Peace Naima. And Mr. Kilroy, we have a quick 60-second commercial break, and we're coming right back to our guests for a few more questions. Thank you very much. We are grateful for every like, share, and subscription to the People's Podcast. Thank you to every anonymous Cash App, all of the People's Podcast affiliates. 1 second. Here we go. And we are live with the People's Podcast. Street Premiere Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of that. Sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. Sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ. My two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Perfect. We are right back with our brother, Mr. Gene Kilroy. Thank you for everyone. Please let us know what city you all are watching from, and let us know if you have any guest suggestions in the comments. Mr. Gene Kilroy, recently, once you went through your surgery and overcame that by the grace of Allah, how did that change your view and outlook on life?
Well, when you're told you have 3 months to live, you might as well go home and take care of your business. You're thinking, well, I used to tell Ali, when you go before Allah, he's not going to say, what have you done? What could you have done? And I said, everybody, the only ones who didn't like me were people who were jealous of me. I remember Elijah Muhammad asked me, what is your toughest job with my brother Muhammad Ali? And I said, if he goes into the bathroom, he comes out with 2 new friends. Now I got to run them away. And 99% they're black people, and they all have a game with, everybody wants to get next to them. And I said, I've seen it around the camp. People would come in with their rented Cadillacs and their knockoff briefcases and all had another bad deal. And I was the bad guy. I had guys in our camp, Bodini Brown, would say, Ali, he FBI guy, he a CIA agent. I said, Ali, they couldn't even spell FBI. And Ali would jump all over them. He said, Gene Kilroy does more for me in 1 hour than you can do in a whole lifetime. When I came around to Ali, his parents didn't have passports. They never went overseas. I got them all their passports. And then I had the head of the IRS come up and explain to them about the write-offs. The National Football League, they write off their training camp. We did that with our camp. It scared him. He couldn't believe it. And that was it. And then I had a championship ring. I was in charge of the championship rings. I had them made up. And it was a write-off from Muhammad Ali. And Joshua said, I like that ring. I said, I'm going to get one made up for you. You read? I said, yes. So I got one made up for him and his dad, But he was like my own brother. I loved him. I mean, even to this day, I lay in bed at night and I'm thinking, I know he's in paradise doing good. And he was such a good-hearted guy. And I used to tell him, I want to just put my arm around you and a shield up to keep everybody away. But drugs are something, I know how much it hurt his mom and his dad and his sisters and the people who loved him, His enemies were happy, but the people who loved him, they weren't happy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for showing. I want everybody to know that I got to witness Brother Joshua, my entire life, be around all kind of celebrities and people and just always show very kind to people. But when I saw him with our brother, Mr. Gene Kilroy, at your room, I saw him be a child all again. I saw his respect level for you. And I said, oh man, Uncle Josh really loves Mr. Gene Kilroy because the way he was responding to you and the way you responded to him, it was a very vulnerable and sincere, transparent meeting. And together, there's something I'll cherish forever. Brother Audio Nasur says, peace and blessings. Shout out from my Baltimore, number 6. Thank you, Peace Mimi. Thank you all who are watching. Mr. Gene Kilroy, how important is family to you, sir?
It's like my own family. They accepted me as part of their family, I remember one time, I want to get the right year, maybe 1970. There was a big Nation of Islam bazaar in Philadelphia. And I walked in there and then Ali got caught up in the crowd and I'm by myself. And all of a sudden, here comes 4 guys, the Fruit of Islam, come up to me to check me out. And then all of a sudden, Yusuf Shah, Captain Shah, hold it. This is, you don't know who this man is? Let me tell you about this man. The story of life is respect. No matter where you go, you're respected. And that's what life's about. That is what life's about. I remember taking Ali to the children's hospitals and visit the kids and, and here, the Masonic Order. We would go to the Shriners Hospital. He'll visit the kids and no press didn't want any press. He'd just go there for the kids. And then when he came up before the Supreme Court, 6 of the Supreme Court were Masons. And they said, look how this man is. He comes to our hospitals to visit the kids. He's not a bad guy. Everybody, Abdul Rahman told me when Gene Kilroy came around, people were calling my brother the N-word draft dodger. When Gene Kilroy got done, he was, really accepted. But I tell everybody to this day, even Ali's family, if he didn't accept the Nation of Islam, he would have been cleaning bus stations in Louisville in the later life. Now, he told me a story. He said his father was a Southern Baptist. His father was a great artist. He painted in the church, the apostles and Jesus and all. And he's sitting there with him one day, and he's looking around, and he said to his dad, "Where are the black people? Are they in the kitchen cooking? I don't know." So he came
Mm.
out of it. He came out of the Baptist church there, went down to the white church. He's standing in front of the white church, and the minister come out. So, "What are you doing there, boy? You get out of here." And he listened to the same songs. "What a friend we have in Jesus. Yes, Jesus loves it." There was something wrong. Something's not right. And then when he heard the teachings, when Abdul Rahman took him to the meetings and all, and he heard the teachings, we don't have our own name. We don't have our own country. Oh, we don't have this. We don't have this. He knew something was wrong. And then he followed the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I remember that Elijah Muhammad would call him on the phone before a fight. "You can't lose, brother. Allah is on your side. He don't have Allah." That was Ali's victory song. He had no fear. He had no fear. And then I remember when he was in exile, Elijah Muhammad sent him by Reggie Thomas, who was with the Nation of Islam, $100,000 in an envelope.
Mm.
That the nation took his money. The nation didn't take his money. But I thought he was a remarkable man. Elijah Muhammad should go down with the Mahatma Gandhis and Martin Luther King. This was a great, great man. He may not believe what everybody believed. He has as much right to believe in Allah as the Pope and Jesus Christ, as the Jewish people, the Messiah, the Buddhists, the Hindus, and he believed in what he believed.
Yes, sir. Beautiful, Mr. Gene Kilroy. And people are showing you love. Sir, outside of boxing, what do you enjoy for fun, sir?
I tell all my friends, stay out of the BS. Carl Malone is one of my closest friends today. He said, "You gave me the greatest advice. Stay out of the BS."
Mm.
And that's what we did, Joshua the same way. I miss him so much. It's just, you look at a phone, you can't call him. So you just think what the family goes through.
Yes, sir.
The
Beautiful.
that whole family, they're great people. That's the royal family.
Yes,
But
sir.
they're not going to get their credit because they're black. Who was
Yes,
more
sir.
articulate than Minister Farrakhan? Nobody. Hitler, very articulate, but we don't know what he was saying because they don't want to play it. But Minister Farrakhan, he speaks the truth. He speaks the truth.
Yes, sir. All right, Mr. Kilroy, we want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the People's Podcast. People are showing you love. All praise to Allah. His name says that's beautiful, powerful, witness bearing. Bilali on the sewer says great history. Thanks for sharing. Mr. Gene Kilroy, what would you like your legacy to be, sir?
Well, I was honest. I didn't take advantage of people. I helped people. And the only ones who hurt me were my friends because I let them in my door. Your enemies aren't going to hurt you because you keep them away. But you get disappointed in people, but you just keep going on. Everybody's human. I remember I met Muhammad Ali in the 60 Olympics in Rome. I was over there in Europe playing sports. I was in the army. And we're walking down the street. It's Cassius Clay at that time. And a guy came up begging money. And I had my check from the army. They didn't even have money for stamps. And a guy said, "Do you have any money?" And he reached in his pocket. He had $8. He gave the guy $3. I said, "Cassius, he said he might have tested me. But if he lied, he has to answer to God, not me. I did what was right." So I know this guy had a lot of depth to him. And then he told me how he was a kid and his father worked 2 jobs. His mother never worked. She stayed home with the kids. He would bring all his buddies home to the house for dinner. She would cook all the food. He'd say, "Come on, Mom, eat." She said, "Okay, later I'm going to eat." She didn't want to take food away from some of his friends there. She was a great, great person, a great person. I would tell him, when you're nice, you're your mom. When you're talking crazy, that's your dad. But his dad was a good person. His dad said, "Gene Kilroy was the best man around my son. He was a white man." You know, I was a pauper for his mom and dad, the outsider. So you talk about respect. Look at the respect the family gave me. To this day, I keep in touch with Rahman Ali. I was there at Ali's funeral. Jim Brown came in. The first thing I did, I said, Jim, come on, let's go. We went over to see Minister Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan should have spoke at that funeral. The most articulate man in the whole world sitting there. But it wasn't about Ali. It was about someone else at that time. But I've been blessed to see that. I've been blessed to see that.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. And on that positive note, on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we thank you to our brother, Mr. Gene Kilroy. I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully, when I go to Las Vegas. I'll reach out to you. And yes, sir. And shout out to your family as well. Thank you for assisting us with the Zoom.
Allah always bless us.
Yes, sir. Walaikum salam, sir. May Allah bless us as well. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off of the People's Podcast. Thank you, sir. You have a great rest of your day. Thank you all for watching.